Well, here we are, Goodwill, Gorham. You can tell they've got some seed packages, 40 cents. They're marked 59 cents. They don't have a ton of seeds in them, but for that price, I wouldn't expect them to. This Goodwill, I think, has a larger proportion of new things. And what's going on now, of course, this is the gardening section. This is, in with what people are doing. So, like, we see some gloves and things for garden work. But later on, we're going to see gloves 50% off and such because they're for cold weather. So a lot of the cold weather stuff is on sale. There's 3 gloves for $5, I believe, large. Oh, these little colorful things are to kneel on when you're in the garden or wherever. They have a big selection of pots, garden pots. And they look like, they have the color that they look like they're ceramic, but this one is some rugged plastic, but not that bad looking. I'll tell you, they look nice and sturdy. They've got the kind of fiber ones for hanging plants. That way the water doesn't run through actually and won't oversaturate them when they're outside being rained on. You can see those boots there. Those are all 50% off. And they get quite a few of them. There's the sign right there. So, what are we really looking for? Who knows what we're really looking for? No, I was going to check in here and look for a couple things. Here's all the winter stuff here, and this is all on sale. Very good. Oh, here are some, these round things are $20, but they're memory foam toppers to put on your bed. It'd be interesting to try one of those out. Okay, let's go. New products again. Wraps, saran wrap type things, I believe. Nice plastic containers. I'm looking at pie plates because I've got to do some pies. $9. That's pretty good for that size. That's not too bad for new. Prices to me are very hard for me to deal with sometimes because I'm 70, and when you're 70, you remember back further what the prices used to be. So, like I'm somewhere and I look at something, and I think this should only be $1, and it's $3. Here's a kind of an old Samsung video camera. I opened it up, and there's a price of $20 in it. This is their shelf where they've selected out some better items, but to me, I wouldn't spend that much on well, you can bring it back on a used electronics item. You got to be careful. And like I say, just ask when you are getting ready to buy it if items can be returned or not. And Goodwill does allow it. You should keep your slip though. Cards. We've got new cards and everything here. Let's see what else we've got. That guy working behind the counter, he knows everything about books. He must have some, he sounds like he's got a doctorate in bookology. I asked him some obscure question about children's books, and he just rattled off this answer with all these facts and everything, and I was like, wow, does this guy know his stuff?
I'm sure they probably worth it.
Yeah. Literature must be his hobby, or who knows, he could have studied it in depth at college. I don't know, but he's a good resource when I have some questions about something.
Very good.
Say even children's books, I was talking about copyright issues and things like that, and he knew them all.
I guess I get
Like Mickey Mouse is going into public domain, and some of these other things aren't, and it was just kind of an interesting conversation.
Someone gave us the car.
Because I was thinking of taking, my son suggested I read, he lives in Germany, and so I read stories to our granddaughter over there via Skype, And he was saying I should just record some too, and it's like,
Acceptable.
well, you know, if you record them,
Really nice.
they can't be copyrighted. And so there are stories in public domain, but the graphics with them are copyrighted. And generally, we're doing picture book. So I don't know quite how to get around that, but maybe I'll figure a way out. And I'm just looking at some of these. Pink's the color that's on sale today, and I don't see anything pink. But books. And like I say, sometimes you'll find, you know, says who? You'll find some books that have a theme, and they'll be all together. Where, like I say, I think someone's purposely kept them in that stack of all the same subjects, or maybe the actual employees, I should say, not employee, actually takes some of the books and rearranges them so they're in order. They generally have fiction, nonfiction, children's, cookbooks, and religious books. So those are the categories. Here's a book about some person that was a slave. It's not in the fiction section. I'm not sure where that is, if that's fiction or not. My wife likes historical biographies or true stories. She's not into fiction, but she likes stories that are real. And okay, see, here's the cooking section. Here you can see, and I'm seeing a couple things here that look interesting. A thug cookbook. I can't repeat the second line of the title on air. It uses a naughty word. But here we go. It's funny, cookbooks are so expensive, but here's a Hungry Girl one. 300 meals with 300 calories only for breakfast and lunch. Cake Doctor. So this is a book, and I believe they're all based off cake mixes, but the idea is you get the cake mix, and this person shows you how to turn it into something that looks really custom, that really looks like you spent a lot of time doing it, which is always neat if you're trying to impress people, or you're just trying to be nice to people too. Oh, you can see they're missing some appliances. This area is usually full. Well, there's a ravioli maker. I have one of those. I gotta attempt to try it again. Here's some non-stick pans. Let's see. Oh, here's the old electronics aisle. I'm just looking through. There's a virtual reality headset. Oh, here's a camera. I always look at these things. It's like going back in time. This is a 35 millimeter fixed focus camera, really inexpensive. Probably no light meter, but the reason they work is because film progressed to such a point that you could overexpose it or underexpose it and still get decent quality prints. So put the demands of the camera behind with the film in it to less. I couldn't quite figure out that. It says something like a mannequin holder, and I'm thinking, what? I didn't figure it out. Here's a Canon Light D, which is all taped up, no price, but I'm pretty sure it's an electronic flash.
So, my big purchase, $3. Today was pink, not yellow, but whatever. Let's see what the date is on this. A lot of time, older cookbooks are better because if you want to save money, you cook things from scratch. In other words, you use flour. You don't use a box mix or something like that. Let's see. 1993. But like we have one of our cookbooks is from 1970 something, and there's a lot of times now you pick up a cookbook, especially if it's from a major company like Betty Crocker or something like that, and they're all going from mixes, or they're using the Poppin' Fresh dough or something like that. And in these times coming up, seems like we're having financial difficulties all the time. Learning how to cook from scratch is a good strategy to deal with price increases, because you'd be surprised how much you can do with just some basic ingredients. Here's pull-apart coffee cake. Let's just look at these has a little exotic thing in them. Pecans, brown sugar, margarine, milk. Then I picked this one, and it's got a mix in it. 1 package vanilla regular pudding and pie mix. 4 cups of Bisquick. Oh my goodness. The recipes I looked in before I purchased it, I didn't see any mixes in there. So I guess some do and some don't. There's this chapter here on making things more healthy. So, they've always had this thing about what do you do when you're out of this or out of that, what you can substitute. Well, now it's more like what can you substitute to get health benefits from. And here's a chart that's showing you eggs. Instead of using 1 whole egg, you use 2 egg whites. Of course, it's going to change the taste of things. I would personally always use the whole egg myself, but triple wheat blueberry muffins. That looks good. That's got buttermilk, which you can make with vinegar and water. Milk, vegetable oil, vanilla, 2 eggs whites, wheat flour, bran flour, baking powder, baking salt, baking soda, salt, ground nutmeg, cup fresh or frozen blueberries, and 3/4 cup whole grain wheat or brown rice. So that looks interesting. That's from the Good For You section. They've got 1 chapter. It's funny, as you go back and you look, you can see kind of the evolution of people wanting to use recipes that are more healthy, and other factors too, what people expected. You see that especially with bread, the beginning of the using the whole grains and everything wasn't a big deal way back, and then it started getting bigger and bigger. And originally, a lot of the the healthy food or whole grain things were really bad. They weren't that good. It was like flavored cardboard sometimes. That's what it felt like, and sometimes didn't have a lot of flavor. So now, it's been refined. We have things like, the artisan bread. We have things like using a sprouted grain flour and all these different things now. But so we have this huge opportunity to decide to eat healthier if we want to, or just go over there for different tastes and things, or keep in the traditional vein where you're using, white flour and different things like that. I know currently we never buy a loaf of white bread. The only white bread we eat generally is if I make rolls, and then that's back to that bread machine again. You eat your bread machine, even a used one. You're just going to use the dough cycle. Usually they'll have one that goes to the first rise. So you put the ingredients in, you kind of walk away from it. 2 hours later, it's beeping, and you take it out, shape it into rolls, and you're good to go. It's really easy. And pie crusts are really easy to make with a bread machine. Now, obviously, you can skip the step of the bread machine too, but arthritis and all those different things, and convenience. When you're talking about a bread machine, a used one at a thrift shop, costing only between $10 and $20 usually. It's kind of a no-brainer if you want to, make your own breads, your own pizza dough, whatever. Uh, there's really, uh, reason to not buy it because it's so inexpensive to buy one of them now. So one of those things that people tend to buy, they try it for a while and they stop using it. And that's primarily because if you're cooking in the bread machine, usually there's a texture problem, especially with the tall loaves, with the one paddle machines, because all the weight of the bread is on the bottom, so that it's very dense at the bottom and goes like airy. So at the top, there's practically nothing there, and in the bottom, it's very dense. Well, you take a machine that turns that over back towards more the normal size pan with two paddles, and the bread tends to be more like the bread you would just bake in the oven. But of course, again, with these, you do that second rise. You take the bread, you knead it a little bit just to get the gas out of it. You put it in your regular bread pan if you want a regular loaf, and into the oven it goes. But I think it's a really good way to save money, especially if you're making your own, sweet things too, like banana breads and different things like that. It's a good choice financially, and like I say, you have the option of making it more healthy by substituting or finding a recipe that has more whole grains. If you have some problem with, say, you're lactose intolerant, you can use something besides milk, But so they have all these recipes now that really give you a real lot of options, and it's good to be able to cook from scratch. And that would be, like I say, that would be my number one recommendation. If you want to save money, or people that want to be prepared for the economy going bad, learn to cook from scratch. This could make a big difference. Bye.